you, sir. Now, in today's class, we'll be going through these outlines. We're going through introduction. We'll be going through cell. We'll be talking about organization of life. We'll be talking about taxonomy and well as animal. But we'll be talking about nutrition and reproduction in the aspect of animal. Now, first, what is zoology and botany? Now, let me give you a brief introduction before I talk about zoology and botany. As we all know, biology is a branch of science that deals with living things. Biology is a combination of two words, bio and logy. Bio means life, logy means study. So literally, biology can be said to be the study of life. And life, as we all know, has to do with living things. And living things can be classified into two, which are plants and animals. Now, that brings us back to zoology and botany. Now, having known that living things can be classified into both plants and animals, thereby, zoology is now the study of why botany is the study of. Zoology can also be referred to as animal science, while botany can also be referred to as plant science. Those that study zoology are called zoologists, or they are also called animal scientists, while those that study botany are called botanists or plant scientists. You can come across it in some textbooks. Botany can also be referred to as phytology. And in this case, you can also call those that are professional in the area of botany as phytologists. With that, let us move to the second outline of the course, which is what is cell? Cell is the structural, fundamental, basics unit of life. Repeat, cell can be defined as a basic unit of life. It can also be defined as a structural unit of life. It can also be defined as the functional unit of life. I want you to note that without using the keywords structural, functional, and basics, the statement of life is a correct statement grammatically. But biologically, it is wrong to define cell as just a unit of life. The keywords structure or basic must come in the definition of cell to make it biologically correct. Now, why are these words important in the definition of cell? It tells you the role of cell in life. Cell is not just one of the units, it is the basics, it is the fundamental unit. It is the unit on which all aspects of life are formed. Cell, there is no life. I repeat, without cell, there is no life. It is the simplest form of life. That is why you have to put these keywords in the definition of cell to make it biologically correct. If they are not there, they are just a grammatical sentence, not a biological definition of cell. Having cell can exist as one, which we call unicellular organisms. Examples are amoeba, paramecium, clavidomina, and the rest. Cell can exist on its own. When it exists on its own, it is called a unicellular organism. Uni means one. Cellular means it is activities of the cell. Cell activities are referred to as. So uni means one. So when a cell is existing on its own, then it is called unicellular organism. They can also exist together. When they come together, they are called multicellular organism. Multi means many. Knowing this, and having known living can be classified into two, which are an animal. In this same cells too are also into two. We have the animal cell and the plant. Now, the animal cell and the cell have so many things in common, but also have little differences. But no matter how much difference they have, they are still the basic unit of life. They are still the fundamental unit. They are the basics, the foundation on which all other aspects of life is laid. Either it is animal or plant cell. When you refer to the body, you call everything that makes up the body the parts of the body. But in cell, we don't call them parts. We call them components. But more, to be more scientific and more biologically, you call them organelles. So instead of saying part of the cell, you call component of the cell or organ of the cell. So organelles are the part of the cell that comes together to form a cell. I'll be listing very few this morning, which includes the cell membrane, the endoplasmic reticulum, the lysosome, ribosome, the mitochondria, the nucleus, and so on and so forth. Now, mentioned in both plants and cell, but plant cell contains chloroplast, which is not in the animal cell, and cell wall, which is also not in the animal. As we proceed in this lecture, you will know the meaning of organelles. Now, let me start from the let me start from the basics. Now, the cell membrane is that thin layer that covers the cell. What the cell membrane controls what goes in and out of the cell. It is like a film, a very thin layer that engulfs and encompasses all organelles. That is what the cell membrane is. Let me give a practical view. When you buy a sachet water, now see the water inside that sachet water are the organelles of the cells. The sachet, the nylon covering that is the cell membrane. It is protecting the water from going out, and it is also protecting foreign body environment to come inside the water. That is what the cell membrane does. The next one is the nucleus. The nucleus is the part of or the component of the cell that houses the genetic information of every living individual, either plants or animals. Every information that makes of us look like either a daddy or our grandpa, our grandma is stored in the nucleus. Though in subsequent we will get expatiating on um, area of biology, which is called genetics, the transfer of genes the transfer of traits and the rest. But in this class, all you need to know is houses the genetic information of every living individual. The next organelle is the new brain. As I said earlier, the cell membrane protects the cell from both foreign materials, also from the cell losing its contents to the environment. The same as the nucleus membrane, it protects the nucleus, it protects what goes in and out of the nucleus. Membrane protective film, that's what they do mostly. They protect, they are mostly for population in and what goes out. The next one is the mitochondria. That is the plural form. The singular form is the mitochondrion. Either of the two, you can, textbook switches these two words. Either you see mitochondrion, it means the same thing. It's just one is plural. What is the function of a mitochondria? It is when respiration takes place in the cell. It is generally said that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, because without respiration, no living organism can live. You have to breathe in, you have to breathe out. There must be a gaseous change in between the organs to make every living organism continue to live. Chloroplast, which I said is in the cell but not available in the animal cell, is that part of the cell gives the plant the green coloration, which is called chlorophyll. They call it green pigment. Most this green pigment is mostly found in the leaf. And what is the function of this green pigment? It helps to trap energy sun for photosynthesis sake. So chloroplast synthesizes chlorophyll, which helps aid photosynthesis. I believe we all know what photosynthesis is. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants manufacture their food themselves. Now, the organelle that is in the cell that is not available in the animal cell is a cell. What is that the cell that gives the plant its rigidity? The back of the plant, BARK, the back of the, it is the cell wall that gives that off feeling when you touch it. Function of the cell wall. So the similarities between animal cell and plant cell, they both possess mitochondria, they both possess nucleus, they both possess the all the cell, the nucleus, and so many. But the difference between them is cell possesses or has chloroplast, which the animal cell has, and it also has cell wall, which the animal cell does not. Now, next we'll be moving to organization of life. Organization explains life. Simplest form, it's I repeat, organization of life explain or illustrate from its simplest form to its form. Now, there is a well thematic arrangement for organization of life, which starts from the simplest to the complex. The first one, which is the simplest, is the cell, followed by the tissue, followed by the organ, followed by system, and lastly, the I repeat, the cell, tissue, the organ, the system, and the organism. Now, from cell, when you are, or probably when you do more findings on the internet in textbooks, you can come across some textbooks that organization of life from organelle. I have defined what organelle before. Some textbooks will start from organelle. Why most textbooks don't include organelle? Because now, as a part of the body, the hand, the eye, the leg, the nose, every part of the body is living because it is in the body. I repeat, every part of the body is living because it is in the body. If the air, I mean the air now, EAR, is cut off from the body, at that particular moment that it is not in the body, it becomes a non-living thing. That is why most textbooks don't see organelle as part of the organization of life, because the organization of life is supposed to be the systematic arrangement of life from its simplest form to its most complex form. And because a nucleus, which is an organelle or a component of the cell, cannot exist outside the cell, makes it a non-living thing. I repeat, because the organelle cannot exist on its own, it becomes a non-living on its own, a non-living thing on its own. That is why most textbooks or most authors don't include it as part of the organization of life. So now we'll be starting the organization of life from cell, which we already defined as the or the basic or the structural or the functional unit of life. Now, examples of cells. We have euglena, we have amoeba, we have chlabidomina, paramecium, we have it, so many. Now, tissue is when two or more cells of like functions come to perform a function, is what is referred to as a tissue. You can find tissue in the nervous system. The nerves are made. The next is the organ. I know most of us are familiar with organs. What these are different parts of the body, like the kidney, the liver, those are the organs of the body. Now, organs are combination of tissues coming together to perform a specific function. Now, the next one is the system. Now, an organ cannot function on its own. An organ cannot function on its own. So one or two organs comes together to perform a specific function. Then is when you have or more organs coming together to perform a specific function. Examples of system are the reproductive system, digestive system, the excretory system, the respiratory system, and so on and so forth. Now, the reproductive system, reproductive illustration. The ovum, the fallopian tube, the epididymis, the penis, the scrotum sac, the scrotum, all organ comes together to perform a function. as reproductive system. And lastly, the last one, organism. An organism is a function of different systems working together. An is a function of different systems working together. What do I mean by that statement? The reproductive system must work, the respiratory system must work with the digestive system, must work with systems in the body. Everything must work together for an organism to function. So that is how the organization of life has been laid or has been systematically arranged. I repeat, from the simplest now, organelles, which you will not find in which most authors would not use. Cell is the first most authors will use. The second one is the third one is organ. One is system. Last one is organism. Example organism is myself, yourself. Plant is an organism. The cockroach, the goat is an organism. Every living thing or every living thing is an organism. Now we'll move to I will be very brief on taxonomy as our time is fast spent. Now, taxonomy is just a scientific word that explains naming. Now, it is the act of naming, it is the act of giving names to organisms. That is grammatically, that's a grammatical definition. But biological definition, taxonomy is the science of naming, classifying groups of biological organisms on the basis of shared characteristics. I come again. Taxonomy is the science of naming, classifying groups of biological organisms on the basis of shared characteristics. Now, that statement explains that every organism, both plants and animal, are grouped together if they share a similar characteristics.
Mr. Yomi, you have 7
And
minutes.
taxonomy is from two Greek words. The first being taxia, which means yes, sir.
You have 7
Taxonomy
minutes.
is from two Greek words, which means the first one being taxia, which means anomia, which means method. And sir, all right, all right. Now I will be sending you a PowerPoint that contains the assignment for this class. Please, this assignment should be submitted to this email before Thursday this week to JPTS Zoology and Botany online class at gmail.com. I repeat, JPTS Zoology and Botany class at onlineclass.com. I'll take that again. JPTS Zoology and Botany online class at gmail.com. All right. So I will be sharing this material with everybody. But as I am let me continue with let me continue with taxonomy before my time is up. Now, I've explained what taxonomy is. Now, let me use modern human, which is we. I mean myself and yourself as example. Modern human. Now, I told each groups of the taxonomy hierarchy is called taxon. It's called taxons. And these taxons, I will be listing them from the top to the bottom. The first one is kingdom. The second one is phylum. The third one is order, followed by class, followed by family, followed by genus, and followed by species. I repeat, kingdom, phylum, order, kingdom, phylum, order, class, family, genus, species. Now, in the kingdom of using human, modern human as example, in the kingdom, we belong to the animal kingdom. We have 5 kingdoms. We have animalia, which is the animal, the plantia, which is the plant. We have monera, we have fungi, and we have bacteria. So in the kingdom, we belong to the animal kingdom, which is animalia. For 5, we are bony organism. We have bones in our body, referred to as vertebrata from the word vertebrate. I have sent the PowerPoint that contains the assignment and just summary of today's class. So please, I repeat again, please send your assignment to jpts zoology and botany online class at gmail.com. All right, now for order, because we possess some characteristics like breastfeeding our young ones, like giving birth to our young ones, that looks like us, and for the fact that there's 4 on our skin, which is then we are as mammal. So the order is called mammalia. That of the class is primates because we have digits, we have fingers and toes, and we can stand on our feet. So animals in that group are known as primates. Family for the human is called Hominidae. It's just a general name to classify human being. Like you have for birds, you have apes for gorilla family. Hominidae are group human being because modern human are just one of the species of human beings. We have so many species of human being. So the next one is genus, which is called the Homo, while the species is called the sapien. That is why when refer to modern human as a science, they call them Homo sapien. Homo sapien. That is modern human. We have so many of human being. You can have Homo erectus, Homo this, Homo that, but Homo is, I used to tell my students that stand like the surname that does not change. But whatever comes after will stand as your first name. So Homo sapien is a family of the modern man. Homo erectus may be human being from 1950 to 1980, like that. So we will stop here for today. And by next class, we'll continue here. Meet your assignment for Thursday. Thank you, and God bless you.